That angle is just amazing.
Yep.
I like it.
You do what you can do. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, actually, 12:30. Happy Easter long weekend to you as well. Happy Easter long weekend to everybody.
Hoppy? I said hoppy.
Hoppy. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we are hoping that the Jets get back on track today as we get you ready for the final game of this road trip. I'm Sara Leske. He is Jamie Thomas. You, of course, are watching Check-In, which over the next 30 minutes, we will get you ready for the Jets and Columbus Blue Jackets. It's great to see so many of you already in the chat. So looking forward to be a lot of discussion, a lot of information shared over these next 30 minutes. We're going to have Paul Edmonds join us. The one, the only, the legend. Yes. Also from The Athletic, Aaron Portzline, who's covered the Columbus Blue Jackets for years, will join us. Columbus on the cusp of a playoff position. What a race it is in the East right now. And of course, Rick Bowness has been at the head of it since taking over early in January. And what a job he has done there in Columbus. But we'll talk to him more about that. What else will we do over this next 30 minutes, Jamie?
It's like become part of our life now. It's like breathing. Is the Tim's Hockey Challenge.
I'm excited.
See, the best part is like the players that we pick in the Tim's Hockey Challenge have to score a goal. So Sara thought she beat me the other day. That was not the case because you chose David Pastrnak.
Yes.
He only got an assist. You have to score. So make sure, let's throw up the old graphic. It's time for the old Tim's Hockey Challenge, brought to you by Tim Horton. You go to the app, make your picks each night, earn Tim's reward points. Free coffee for a week if you hit a 7-day streak, but they have to score a goal. Your choices, remember. This means you get at least one player right who scores 7 days in a row. You will get free coffee for a week. So Sara and I will make our picks a little bit later in the show. You can also make your picks on the app. So thanks to our good friends at Tim Hortons for the Tim's Hockey Challenge as we try to win some prizes, namely free coffee.
Yes. And I was so excited because if you were listening to us the other day, you would have heard me say that obviously the competitive juices flow anyways, especially when it's JT and I going against each other. So I was following along on all the games and I went, oh, this is fantastic. Pastrnak at least got a secondary assist. And then when I bragged about it today, Jamie goes, you're not paying attention.
I was more than happy to tell her she was wrong. So good job.
Yes. Okay. So look, Jets looking to get back on track. Many people hoping that obviously is going to happen today. How do they do that going into this game?
Well, how about a better start in the first period? Because as our good friend Ken Wee from the Free Press tweeted out the other day, the Jets talked a lot about having a good start in Dallas, and that was not at all what they had. So Dallas quickly got on top of them, scored a power play goal, and scored another goal quickly after that. To have a 2-0 lead. And really, the Jets couldn't muster much through the first two periods. They looked a lot better in the third. And of course, there was, I don't want to say a controversial hit, but our good friend Leah Salamonson took a nasty hit from Jason Robertson. Salamonson left the game. And then the captain, Adam Lowry, tried to take care of business and had a pretty good scrap with Jamie Benn there in the third period. So it was a much better effort from the Jets in the third period. Just could not beat Jake Ottinger, and they were shut out for the 6th time this season.
Yeah, unfortunately, let's take a look at what that means for the standings, because, of course, that is what we are watching all the time now, especially with this wild card race being what it is and with the Jets being down to just 7 games when you include today. So you look at some of this standings right now, they're 3 points back. St. Louis has jumped ahead of the Jets with it. Games of note today. We've got Nashville playing San Jose, Chicago at Seattle, Toronto at the LA Kings. So all of the teams in the mix for that wild card spot will be playing today. So I want to know from all of you in the chat, I want to know who you're going to pick for your Tim Hortons goal scoring challenge. I also want to know, though, and Jamie and I were talking beforehand, I want to know which out of these games, which of these teams are you keeping your eye on the most as we go down the stretch with the Jets trying to climb back in? A real missed opportunity to not be able to come out with anything in that game against Dallas.
Well, then, of course, the worst case scenario was that Los Angeles-Nashville game the other night that went to a shootout, so the old 3-point game, and went 15 rounds.
That's unreal.
And nobody scored until the 15th round, so that's awful. As much as we have complained about the shootout in years past, that was like your example right there of how they have to come up with something else, because went way too long in that aspect. But Los Angeles Kings, of those teams fighting for that final wildcard spot, have the fewest regulation wins. They only have 19 this year, so they have a ton of loser points this season. And so I'll be watching San Jose and Nashville a little bit later today.
Yeah, looking forward to watching all of these. The Jets obviously are in danger of becoming just the 5th team in NHL history. You go from winning the President's Trophy to missing the postseason. Not a group that you want to be a part of. Of course, the New York Rangers had just accomplished that the year before. So a lot of pressure on there. The Jets have had success against Columbus. They've won 4 of their last 5 meetings against them, outscoring them 23-9 in the process. And Columbus has had their issues. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to talking to Aaron about, because we know the run that they've gone under Rick Bowness since he took over. To even get themselves into this situation has been absolutely remarkable. But they have gone absolutely cold in the last 7 games. They are 1-5-1 as the record. And so now, with the East being the way that it is, one day you can be in your top 3, the next day you can be completely out of any of the top 8 positions. So looking forward to that. But this will be a difficult one for the Jets. And I'm interested to see, like you said, a better start would be great. I'm interested to see how they come out in this one.
Well, there are some changes to the lines a little bit too as well. And
so let's take a look at it.
Let's take a look at that, as we got this from Mitchell Clinton a little bit earlier. Kepke, Taves, Lambert, Roseanne, Barron, and Ford. So not changes that way, but it's the Jacob Bryson has come into the lineup, obviously with the loss of Elias Salamonson, which is a big loss for the Winnipeg Jets. Connor Hellebuck will get the start again here tonight in Columbus. So Jacob Bryson, Hayden Fleury, pairing on that 3rd defense pairing for the Winnipeg Jets. So we'll have to see. I mean, clearly the loss of Leo Salamonson is big, considering the step that he had taken. And I remember, we were talking about Morgan Barron, about the big step he had taken and how important he had been. Then he had missed the last 2 games. He returned to the lineup the last game as well. But Elias Salamonson, a big loss for the Winnipeg Jets in that aspect, especially on the blue line.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see another player you hate to see it at any point in time, but another player go into concussion protocol. Yesterday it was announced that Danny Zhilkin's been returned to the Manitoba Moose because the Jets are no longer in an emergency situation. We will see. Apparently, Gus Nyquist said to be a game time decision, but he did stay out longer with the scratches today. Colin Miller back on the ice still for another day, still in a non-contact jersey, but a very positive sign to at least see him continuing to do that. But the Jets will have their work cut out for them today.
Columbus, we were just saying, I looked at their records since Rick Bowness took over on January 12th, 19-7-5. So that's the fact that they haven't played so well lately. Just goes to show you the incredible tear that they went on. It's so, just the great job that Rick Bowness has done. They've improved defensively. They've, had some more offense. So I don't think there's any surprise the effect that Rick Bowness has had on this hockey club. Since taking over, there's not a surprise at all in that aspect. But and then another thing too, Winnipeg didn't play so great on Thursday, but and certainly the Columbus Blue Jackets did not either. They had 10 shots on goal when they were taking on the Carolina Hurricanes the other night. So look at that. This is from Aaron Portzline. Columbus forwards only had 2 shots on goal in a 5-1 loss to Carolina. The other 8 were by defensemen. Since the NHL started tracking shots on goal in 1959-60, that's the fewest combined shots by forwards in a single game. So you can imagine Bones in the dressing room after that, especially against a divisional rival in the Carolina Hurricanes, who ended up clinching a playoff spot on that night. So both 2 teams coming to this game tonight in Columbus, not in the best of moods after their last game on the ice for both the Jets and Blue Jackets. So
I believe the quote from Bones was, "I saw some selfish play that I haven't seen until now." So, I think that if anybody can get this team back on track, obviously it'll be Rick Bowness with what he's been able to do. But you expect to see slumps happen. That they were on such a tremendous run. So that it's not going to continue like that forever. There are going to be hiccups. That's natural. I mean, look at the Western Conference. We talk about it every game. It feels like that. Yes, it would be an angry Bones can be a very motivating Bones. But you look at the Western Conference, where you think about how the Jets, with their struggles, we've talked about it ad nauseum. They're 11 points back. Didn't think that they'd be able to make up the ground, but then all of these teams started hitting speed bumps, and it's inevitable. Nobody is going to go through without hitting them at some point in time, and Columbus is hitting theirs right now with Rick.
Somebody who has never hit a speed bump in his time as the voice of the Winnipeg Jets is our good friend Paul Edmonds, who is joining us now from his luxurious hotel room.
Look at that look. He might not have hit a speed bump as the voice of the Winnipeg Jets, but I bet you he's hit a speed bump quickly in his truck before.
Well, I've flown over a few speed bumps, I can tell you. Oh, guess there's a speed bump there.
All in a truck, reliving Dukes of Hazzard days.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Do we want to get to soup first? Because I've got a recommendation here.
Yeah, okay, go. Yeah, please do.
Yes,
Yeah.
do it.
So let's get to soup. I know it's Easter weekend, so there's probably a little bit more of the traditional Easter fare going on. But if there's soup and you want to make some, that would be great. We've talked about all kinds of different soup. But on a game day, every once in a while, I will treat myself at home by walking over into the food court. And I know that you two have been there as well. There's that Vietnamese restaurant called Kai Pho. And it used to be a Japanese restaurant, and then those owners retired, couldn't find anybody to buy the place, so they just closed their Japanese restaurant down. And they used to have a great ramen soup there, but the Vietnamese restaurant then opened in its place, and it's tremendous. So I will go every once in a while, and I'll get that big bowl of the ramen chicken soup at Kai Pho, and they're paying me nothing for this.
Yeah.
So I want to have that disclaimer. But if you are downtown and you do work downtown or frequent downtown every once in a while, and you're in the mood for a bowl of soup, the ramen chicken soup at Kai Pho in the food court at City Place is tremendous. And I think you're in and out with tax for $15. That's pretty good. There's my recommendation.
I
Get your soup out of the way.
I don't think the people in promotions could write that any better, Paulie. So I think we'll cut this out. We'll send it to Kai Pho and say, hey, free advertisement right here.
Yeah.
But it could be a paid advertisement going forward.
Yeah, maybe I'll just put a Kai Pho, some sort of a name bar on my back of my suit, walk around on game days, right?
Yeah, Jets jersey with Kai Pho in the back.
I love it. Hey, how about this comment down there? Paulie, our OG soup king. That's right. All this started because of you, Paul.
Yeah, no, I love my soup. And so what I will do now, every time that we get on, I will try to, advance the story, as they say in journalism, but I will try to always come up with great soup locations or great soup experiences.
Ooh.
And so the next one here is, and again, I don't know that a whole lot is open on Easter weekend downtown right now, but when you get back to things being normal, and if you're downtown or work downtown, Kai Pho, the Vietnamese restaurant in the food court, and the ramen chicken soup. Oh, no cilantro. I get it. No cilantro. Cilantro it's one of those acquired taste spices. You're in or you're out. Yeah. Most of the time I'm out with cilantro. So,
what did you think of what we saw in that first period in Dallas that night, Paul? Especially with all the conversation about needing a good start against the Dallas Stars. It's hard building to Winnipeg to play in and win in. What did you think of what you saw there in the opening 20 minutes?
Yeah, precisely. I mean, look, Sara mentioned it earlier on because I was monitoring what was going on, and to come out with nothing, like even a point would have been, I think, palatable for the Jets, but they came out with nothing. And you're right, Jamie, a real difficult place to play for the Winnipeg Jets the last couple of years. I felt that they got off to a decent start.
Okay.
We forget really quick about the 2 goals that get scored, one on the power play, one inside of 2 minutes right after that. But in and around there and before that, Mark Scheifele has a chance coming right down Broadway, heels it off his stick, right? Morgan Barron, another opportunity in that same general area of that first period where he whiffs on it as well. He doesn't get great wood on it. It comes off the blade of his stick. It flutters wide and high over the net. Not exactly where he wanted to put that shot. So, yes, you're down 2. it looks like you're not playing very well. Looks like you haven't got off to a very good start, but they did have some chances. And I talked to Scott Arniel about that today as well, and he would agree. And it's, I know it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda scenario here, but then after that, they generated a few more chances. Kyle Connor had 5 chances in that game alone. He hit a crossbar or a post. He hit Ottinger on the mask. He had Ottinger come post to post on him on another save. Winnipeg generated in that game. And sometimes, as Cole Perfetti told me today, you are going to run into situations where it just does not go for you. And it looked worse, I think, than it actually was.
Okay.
Because it was a 3-0 shutout, and they're shut out for the 4th time on the road, and they're shut out for the 6th time overall, and it's in a time of need. So yes, I get all that. I understand all that. But if I'm a coach and I'm looking for positives coming out of that 60 minutes, I'm saying to myself, yeah, we need to defend better. We need to get something on our specialty teams, no doubt. But I also don't mind what we generated, not just in the 3rd period, because the 3rd period was frankly their best.
Mhm.
And now there's maybe some reasons for that. Teams come off, they're up 3-0, they're at home. There's a push from the team that's down 3-0. But overall, I think there's some things that you can extract out of that game, despite the fact that you came away with nothing, and it's sheer disappointment, that you can apply to this game tonight on the road. If you take some of the similarities to what you liked and make the application to tonight in Columbus, I think you might have a different result because it's a different game.
Okay, so let's expand on that then. When looking at Columbus as being the opponent, how do you think these two teams match up? I mean, obviously, Columbus has hit a bit of a stumbling block here, but they had been having a lot of success up to then.
This will be interesting because we don't see this team very often. And in November, the Jets pretty much had their way with Columbus at home, winning a multiple goal game. And they had 5 different scorers to the Jets. And Mark Scheifele led the way, as he has all year, with 3 assists. But Columbus had a different coach. Of course, we know Rick Bowness very well, and Jamie relayed the record under Rick Bowness. But this is very similar to what was leading up to the game Thursday in Dallas. Dallas wasn't very happy with the way they were playing. I just want to read you a couple of quotes from today, because Sarah, you read the quote post game from Saturday, or post game from Thursday, when Columbus lost 5-1 in Carolina. Bones today was vintage Bones. Here's a couple of quotes on the 5-1 loss from today, because there was follow-up questions from the local media. He said, quote, "There were a few guys we couldn't find," end quote. He also said, "It's the only game since I've been here that we had no chance of winning." I mean, pretty stern words from the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it is on parallel with what Glenn Gulletson was saying about his team going into the Dallas game. So here's the thing. You know Columbus is coming tonight then. You know Columbus is fighting for their playoff lives. They're a little closer to the line than the Jets are, of course. But, I mean, they were above the line for a while here, and now they've stumbled in the last 5 games. So you know that they need to be better. They need to have more pushback, especially at home, after losing and really not showing up against Carolina in that 5-1 loss on Thursday. Winnipeg wants to have a better start tonight. So all of this comes together, and I don't think that there's going to be any feeling out here tonight. In the first 30 seconds, this game's going to hit 120 miles an hour. So buckle up, because it's going to go back and forth, and it's probably going to be physical. And both teams want to set the standard, set the tone early on, try to get the advantage with the first goal. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it, frankly.
Going back to the Dallas game again, and of course the loss of Elias Salamonson, Paul, like we've all had time to see the hit and think of the hit and get a better perspective of it. Do you still feel, as Scott Arniel said, it was a dirty hit and a dirty play?
Well, as Adam Lowry said, it's
Right.
in the rule book. I mean, it's not a dirty hit in terms of then inflicting a penalty, assessing a penalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that it's hard when, as Adam said, in that situation, the player, Jason Robertson, protecting the puck with his numbers turned to the player coming from behind him with his face directed toward the boards. You're not supposed to hit and engage in that spot if you're Elias Salamonson. So you were frankly not expecting a reverse on that. right? But it happens quite often in the game. It has not been taken out of the game. I don't know that I would call it dirty. It's an unsuspecting hit. So from that standpoint, you have to be aware of what's going on the ice. And Jason Robertson is a bigger body that's learned at 6'3" to protect the puck and be strong on his skates. And that's something that Elias is going to learn. He's still in his early 20s and he's only played 30 plus games in the National Hockey League. It's unfortunate that it's knocked him out. I don't know about the level of the dirtiness of it, because it's not in the rule book that you're going to assess some sort of a interference call on it or a roughing call. I think it might be something that they look at. But the fact of the matter is the Jets have an empty stall right now when it comes to Elias Salamonson and not playing tonight. So it does provide some opportunity. But the unfortunate part for him is he's a right-handed shot and he's played so well since that last recall for the Winnipeg Jets. And it's a situation where next man up, and the Jets have been doing that a lot, certainly this season, and playing a lot with 5 defensemen because of defensemen getting hurt in a game. And the other thing that was interesting too was they were not only down to 5 defensemen, but then in that game on Thursday, Neil Pionk gets 2 and 10, and they're down to 4 defensemen for most of the third period in that hockey game. And I hadn't seen that one for a little while. But dirty hit, I don't know that I would call it that.
Yeah.
Unsuspecting, yes, but something certainly to learn from for Elias Salamonson and everybody else, because reverse hits are part of the game. We see it all the time. And until they take it out of the game or they start assessing penalties, it's there to stay.
Paul, I appreciate the time, man. Have a great call tonight. Enjoy the last part of this road trip. And hey, we're going to see you Monday.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks very much. And you guys enjoy the game. And let's see what happens. And like I said, I think they're going to hit the ice running here tonight.
I love
Thanks,
it.
buddy. See you, Paulie.
Thanks so much, Paulie.
All right. Well,
the only Paul Edmonds.
Yeah. We also, so Paul thinks there's going to be guns a-blazing. We'll go from the other perspective and have Aaron Portzline join us now as what he thinks. What's going on here. Longtime man who has covered the Columbus Blue Jackets since their infancy. He's been through many, many head coaches. He's outlasted them all, and he's still standing here today. He's been through Ken Hitchcock, John Tortorella, and now it's Rick Bowness. Rick. Sorry,
he left out a few other ones.
Yeah, I left out some guys in there as well. Scott Arneal as well, and on top of that. So,
right.
Aaron, our good friend Paul Edmonds, thinking this game is going to be crazy from the start. Your thoughts, especially with what these two teams are going through at this moment, both trying to scratch and claw their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, I crazy, I think, is a possibility. I'm just really, really uncertain what sort of mind frame the Blue Jackets are going to be in tonight. I mean, this thing was sailing along for them so well for so long under Rick Bowness, who, of course, you're familiar with. And these last 7 games, they've really lost their way. 1-5-1. Worse than that, Thursday, that was one of the worst games I've seen the Blue Jackets play. I don't mean this season. I mean ever.
Wow.
They had 10 shots on goal. They had 2 shots on goal by forwards in the entire game. 2 shots on goal by forwards. An NHL record, by the way. Never a good thing to be setting those sort of NHL records this time of year. And I just don't know. I don't think that's something you just flip a switch and get out of. I think there's a real lack of confidence and almost like imposter's syndrome has fallen over the group here. I don't know if you have to build your way back out of that. There's certainly not time for that. But I just don't know what they're going to look like tonight. I suspect there'll be a lot of energy at the start, but what happens if there's a bad bounce that goes against them early? I just don't know. So we'll watch and be interested in that.
You had a number of tweets today already, Aaron, but it includes when you looked at a number of the stars on the Blue Jackets that they look at the time in order to be able to have production. And that they haven't been producing lately. Sean Monahan has had, no points for it. There's a number of guys in there. When you say that they haven't, imposter syndrome. Okay, so look at these numbers here, everyone, for it. Columbus has scored 12 goals in the past 7 games, and you look at how so many of the players that the Blue Jackets rely on have gone dry throughout this 7-game stretch. Did you see signs leading into these 7 games that things were maybe about to take a turn?
Well, it's a great question because you tend to see the play dip a little bit before
Yeah.
the results actually start to reflect what you're seeing. And then it works the other way too, where you start to see them play really well and maybe not get rewarded for it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's been some games where they played well and didn't score, played well and they maybe got away with it a little bit. I think it's, and you would like to say it's the young guys that players who haven't been through this before that are struggling with the big stage or people noticing them all of a sudden. Geez, it's not that. I mean, I didn't even include Boone Jenner in that group. He's got 1, 2, 3 over the last 7 as well. Part of that's been on the fourth line, so he gets a bit of a break, but yeah, it's all over the place. And that second line, you mentioned Monahan specifically, obviously a former Jet.
Mm-hmm.
That second line has been sort of a real missing link all year. It just hasn't had an identity, hasn't produced. When Connor Garland first came over from Vancouver, there was a little bit of an uptick, and you thought, well, maybe they solved that. But boy, that's really dropped off. Monahan himself has struggled this year. He was so good last year. He's been fighting through injuries this year, so he gets a bit of a pass for that. But that whole second line, and you worry about the size of it when they had Kent Johnson on one side and Garland on the other. If that's struggling at these games late in the regular season, oh boy, what might that be able to do in the playoffs? Because that's a real matchup problem. So they're trying to figure out how to get that going. And I'm not sure where it begins. If it's a bad luck bounce, if it's, I mean, they had a 3-0 lead on Boston, played maybe the best period I've seen the Blue Jackets play in a very long time, and lost that game. And you could just feel the energy give out when they gave up the first goal in the third period. So there's a lot going on right now. They're pretty busy in the head right now, which is not a good way to play.
Yeah.
Aaron, the Jackets are minus 25, and that's the second worst goal differential in third periods this season. Was that before Bones came along, and have they rectified that since Rick came on board?
Yeah, that is so much better under Rick Bowness.
Yeah,
as bad as it still is, it's so much better. And really, they have that game against Boston. I just referenced up 3-0, lost 4-3. That was a tough one. Obviously, those do happen in today's NHL. Those were just a regular occurrence for the Blue Jackets from early November into December. There are 9 games they've led after the second period and ended up losing. It's more like 13 or 14 games where they've had a lead in the second half of the third period and couldn't hold it. So not only, and some of those games they've ended up winning in overtime or losing overtime, so they get a point for it. But you think of all the points that they didn't get, but also the points that they spread across the Eastern Conference, and they're not getting the tiebreaker against a lot of these teams. And as you get later in the season, as you all know, that extra point that you lost in November, the point you didn't get in December, those are the ones you start to think about now when every point really matters.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much been the case with the Jets as well. So that's certainly something that the people watching right now are able to relate to when you look back at some of the games and go, oh, if only they had been able to pull out at least one more point on it. Just quickly before we let you go, I mean, sure. Despite the struggles that they've had here, the addition of Rick Bowness, and we know obviously the tremendous start that they had under him, what's the reception been to him, whether it be around the dressing room, around the marketplace as well? Because obviously he holds a very special spot here in Winnipeg and with this fan base. Yeah.
The players love him. The fans want to vote him for president, even though he's a Canadian. They love him. They absolutely love him. They love the way he talks. They love the way he handles himself. He has, you guys know this, he has like a default smile, right? Mm-hmm. There's like a default joyousness about the man that I think everybody just relates to. He's 71. He has the energy of a 30-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the people here, they just respond to that. This is a town too. It's a college sports town. longer than it's been an NHL town. This town loves coaches. Players come and
Yes.
go. They love coaches. Like think Ken Hitchcock, John Tortorella, right? In Torts They Trust. They're pre-wired for that, but they love Bones. And just today, you know, Ken, we were watching the morning skate. He counted. Rick Bowness had 11 on-ice conversations with players. Like, that's a lot, right? But this is a guy that just likes to talk, and he's a great communicator. Not just his understanding of the importance of it, but his ability to do it across age differences, all that sort of stuff. Listen, people are talking Jack Adams candidate, and he's going to coach at most 37 games. So it's been a fit for sure. And I'm speaking personally. I hope it continues. We'll see.
Aaron, Columbus is one of my favorite cities in the National Hockey League. It's totally underrated in that aspect. So hang on with us for one more second. Got one more question.
Yeah.
Time for Soup's On. All right. So if people are visiting the great city of Columbus, where should they go for some good soup, and where do you like to go, and what's your favorite soup?
Wow. So I would say if you're in this area, North Market, I would go to the North Market, which is right next to the arena here in the north side. All sorts of choices. But if you like Vietnamese, the pho is incredible. Ooh. There's a great Vietnamese stand there. I love the Indian stand. It's not exactly soup. They may have soup. But there's all sorts of choices there to get. So I would direct them towards the Vietnamese pho at the North Market.
You and Paul Edmonds on a very similar wavelength today. That was
you go somewhere? The same spot?
Well, he was talking about a spot in Winnipeg, but he was going on with the Vietnamese angle with the soup too. Yeah. So soup is a hot topic. When it comes to our fan base and our viewers. So we always enjoy getting the perspective of other people. So Aaron, you are the best. Thank you so much for making some time to join us today. And everybody, if you aren't already following him, make sure to follow him, on X, but then read all of his great work in The Athletic as well. And I think there are a lot of people, Aaron, that are hoping that you have a very lengthy playoff run. Columbus, I think much like Buffalo, the East holds a soft spot for a lot of people that they're hoping are able to see some success in the postseason. Yeah, well, go Winnipeg. I hope you all make it. And who knows, greatest, most unpredictable final of all time. Jets. Could you imagine?
Let's go. The league would be delighted.
Rick Bowness, Stanley Cup final. Why not?
Come on. Great. Arneal.
Yeah, I know.
The stories tell them
the flip-flop. So much content availability. Thanks so much, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Aaron Portzline joining us from Columbus. I'm serious. Like, Columbus is one of the coolest, most underrated cities in the National Hockey League.
Look, there's a bunch that I find. Pittsburgh, I find to be a very underrated city as well that you wouldn't know about. We are running a little bit over, but just beforehand, we did hear after the game in Dallas, players Adam Lowry and as well as Scott Arneal spoke about going into Columbus, about facing Rick Bowness and this Blue Jackets team.
Bones is an incredible human being. To see him back behind a bench, doing what he loves, and excelling. I think you see the motivation. You see how hard guys will play for him. He's a great coach. He demands a lot, but he treats you with a ton of respect. He loves you as a player and as a person, and those are the coaches you love to play for.
Our games, we're desperate. We have to be desperate right from the start of the game, and it has to be for 60 minutes. But we got to move on to Columbus. They got a team that's in their own battle, and obviously that they got beat again tonight, and so they're going to be pretty ornery in their building. So we have to go in. We want to finish this road trip 3-1, but we're going to have to be a lot better with our details, our execution, our battle. Get that stuff, drive it up like we did the first few games of this road trip, and then hopefully we can be on the right side of it.
So has all the makings of a really good hockey game tonight in Columbus. Before we go, let's throw up the Tim's Hockey Challenge, because Sarah and I are going to make our picks. Tim's Hockey Challenge, you pick 3 players, make your picks each night. You earn Tim's reward points, and we're all hoping for a 7-day streak, which means free coffee for a week. So just open up the Tim's app, look for Tim's NHL Challenge, and I've already made my picks.
Okay, let's hear them.
I got Cole Perfetti.
Okay.
I got Lane Hudson, and I got Josh Morrissey.
All right. So my options that were available to me were, I'll go John Tavares.
Okay.
Leafs playing the Kings this afternoon. Alex
Go
Iafallo.
Leafs. Yep.
And we'll say that another blue liner, but Dylan DeMello.
All right.
So
I like it. Oh, Donnie boy, it's got a 5 days for
nicely
two-way for free coffee.
done.
Donnie boy, 54. Yes. We applaud this. So the Tim's Hockey Challenge, thank you so much for that. And make sure you do that every single day on the Tim's app. Also, make sure you tune in to either Sportsnet or, of course, CJOB for tonight's hockey game as the Jets wrap up their road trip in Columbus. They will take on the Seattle Kraken, the first of 3 one-game homestands to close out the regular season here in Winnipeg. But first up, got to beat the Jackets.
Yeah, looking forward to this one tonight. Always love to have you all in the chat and to hear from you as well. So hope that you join us on Monday and enjoy the rest of the weekend and enjoy the game tonight.
See you, everybody.